I guess we're going. Good morning. I am Kim Johnson, and I want to talk to you today about the coronavirus. And the reason I want to talk to you is because I lived through SARS virus, and I want to tell you what we did, why we did it, and what you can do in addition to taking the protections that you need to really feel like you can live through this, that you're not going to be affected by this. And I was in Asia at the time when the SARS virus broke out. And as you know, it was pretty serious. So much so that entire blocks in the country were quarantined. The airport was quarantined. There were days where there were no flights in, no flights out. In one or 2 days, the entire country was quarantined, especially when the airport was quarantined. The transportation, which is usually full of people, the tram, it was empty, completely empty. And I wasn't afraid. What we did is we turned to Tehillim. So we turned to Psalm 91 in particular. But before I even read that to you and show you the parts that we highlighted, all right, and talk about them, I want you to know that there's a lot of scary stuff in life, a lot. It's not just some kind of epidemic. Today, it can be terrorism. It can be lone wolf terrorists. It can be abuse. It can be things that you hear on the media or you see in the media. There's a lot of scary stuff. However, the good news is, did you know that Hashem says that we are not to be afraid? In fact, he says it 365 times in the Tanakh. We're not to be afraid. Do not fear. So that takes us right to Tehillim 91. Why is that? Because it gives us the insight as to why we're not to be afraid. So here we go. This is the psalm that I not only quoted the entire times SARS was in Asia, all right, and I was in Asia, all right, but it is also, okay, the psalm that I put on placards and passed out to everybody. I made a song about it, and there was a reason I did it, because this is what it says. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High, all right, he who sits in this place where he entertains or prays or talks to Hashem will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. So right away, I want you to think of a shadow. And have you ever walked in somebody else's shadow? How many times have you ever gone to take a picture of something and there is a shadow in it and you're like, oh God, you know, when you're taking a picture of a piece of paper and you need to fax that over or text it over, or email it over to somebody, and there's a shadow in it. So it is a part of what you're doing. And so he says he will abide. This person who puts his trust, his emunah, in Hashem, all right, he will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. You will not be able to get outside of his presence. And then he says, I will say of Adonai, I will say of the Lord, you are my refuge. You are my fortress. You are my Elohim. You are my God in whom I have emunah. I have trust. I have faith. I have hope. And then it says, for it is he who delivers you from the snare of the fowler or the snare of the trapper or the snare of the person, the individual, the idea, the concept that is trying to ensnare you. And it goes on from there. It says, for it is Hashem who delivers you from deadly pestilence. And that is precisely what a plague or a coronavirus or a SARS is. It is a pestilence. And it says that Hashem will deliver you from that. He says he will cover you with his feathers, with his talus. He will cover you with his presence. Just like a mother bird, a mother eagle covers her children when danger is approaching, Hashem will cover you. And then it goes on to say, and under his wings, you will seek refuge, right? But so here's the thing. So in a lot of times when we're afraid, we don't know where to turn. We don't know where to run. And what Hashem is telling us, run to me, run to me. I am going to protect you. Now, I'm not saying, I want to be clear, that we shouldn't take other protections. You know, I remember when I was in Asia, here I was, and I would be on public transportation. I didn't have a mask. Everybody around me would have masks. And I took precaution, though. Not only did I have Tehillim 91, and I would say it all the time, but I wouldn't allow anybody to sit next to me. I put a bag on one side and a bag on the other. I didn't allow anybody to get right into my very, very close personal space, okay? So I was taking this type of caution. And so there are other recommendations and cautions with these viruses and fluids, and making sure your house is kept clean, and making sure if you come in contact with anyone that has a cough or any kind of flu-like symptoms, that once again, you take precaution. Precaution is also nutritional precaution. You build up that immune system. You take your vitamin C. You take your vitamin Bs, all right? You exercise. You get out in the sun. You build the immune system. Hemp oil, I actually take and I sell. This is not a promotion for selling, by the way, but I take a CBD oil that also builds up your immune system. So I take essential oils. I have essential oils. So there are things like Young Living, when you have a lot of their essential oils. I'm trying to think, Thieves. Thieves is the one. Oh my God, it kills every possible bacteria there is. It's amazing. So you can take these kinds of precautions. All right. However, where do you run? Where do you run? You run to Hashem. So here we are. He goes on to say, his faithfulness is a shield. It is a bulwark. I mean, it's impenetrable. Then he says, and you will not be afraid of the terror by night. When you put your trust in Hashem, he's going to take your fears. He's going to give you faith. And you are not going to be afraid of the terror by night or by the arrow that flies by day. And let me just say this. That's also has to do with, arrows have to do with sharp words as well, okay? Now, it says, and of the pestilence, here's that word again. Do you know that it not only covers plagues, but it also covers nuclear assaults, nuclear bombs, nuclear attacks. So a pestilence is very far-reaching. It covers the locust dilemma that's going on right now. That's another plague that's going on over in Africa right now. I mean, they are being devoured by locusts. Well, that's a little biblical. That's like right out of the book of Exodus, right? And that's we're coming up to Pesach, right? This is like real-time stuff. But Hashem said it's going to come. But he also says this is the solution to making sure it doesn't come to you. And so here we are. He promises when we dwell in his presence, under his shadow, we get into the Torah, we study the Torah, we do our tefillah, we do our prayers, we get our siddur out, we pray, we turn our attention to Hashem in every possible way. He says this, he says, number one, you will not be visited by a deadly pestilence. You won't be afraid of terror by night. You won't be subject or hurt by the arrows that fly by day. Even bitter words, they won't harm you. They won't affect you. He says that you will not be visited by the pestilence that stalks in the darkness. All right, that which you can't see. And that can even be referring to the angel of death that came through, like on Pesach, it was midnight, all right? The pestilence of darkness, that which you cannot see, that which is obscure, or of the destruction that lays waste at noon, that which comes when you're least expecting it, and yet it's present. Very present. At noon is the brightest time of the day. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not approach you. We are seeing thousands fall in China. It's now going into other areas of the world. Even 10,000 will fall, but when you put your trust, your emunah in Hashem, it will not come nigh you, he says. It won't even approach you. You will only see it with your eyes. You will see, and this is very, very interesting. It says the recompense of the wicked. Now, I want to explain that for a minute because God forbid that we look at all the people that are dying as wicked. You may remember in reading the Torah that Hashem would send plagues and thousands, tens of thousands would die like this. Well, here's the deal. Not every one of those were wicked, but the ones that were wicked, okay, they were calling the shots. And oftentimes, when wicked people influence other people, or they do something, even leaders, when they influence in a way that is against God, what happens is that there can be retribution, and it affects everybody. That's why you want to have leaders that have moral clarity. It's why you want to have leaders that care about you. It's why you want to make sure that people respect the laws of the Torah, the 10 Commandments. They respect God. They honor positions of authority. Just take a look. When you are reading through the Torah and the Parsha portions, take a look at the reasons and the whys Hashem would send plagues or allow for pestilence. And you'll find that it was a lot of lashon hora against leadership. It's a lot of speaking evil about people that were in positions of authority. It's a lot of rebellion against the laws of God. And you find that this is often the reason that we see pestilence. And it's also the reason that terror is allowed to reign or even rise. And you read that in the book of Yoel. Now, back to our situation, because you don't want to always see that everybody that's dying is wicked, but there has been something that has been said or done that has set forth a domino effect, and everybody that is not putting their emunah in Hashem, and everybody that is in that path all right, can deeply be affected. So we want to run the opposite direction. We want to run to Hashem. All right, so it says, for you have made Adonai your refuge, even the Most High your dwelling place. No evil will befall you, nor will any plague come near your dwelling. That is powerful. That is powerful. I cannot tell you how many times I have prayed where people are being bombarded by, evil, or they're being bombarded by sickness. And I have gone to their homes or sat with them, and I have pulled out Tehillim 91, and I have read it with them in mind, prayed with them in mind, and the evil left and the sickness left, because they trusted in Hashem. And so he said, no evil will befall you, no plague shall come nigh your dwelling. He will give his melachim, his angels, charge over you. They will guard you in all of your ways. They will bear you up in their hands. And it says here, they will ensure that you do not strike your foot against a stone. So they will protect you from harm in every fashion. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have the authority over that which is trying to destroy you. And I always look at also, these amazing men and women in science, all right? The one that created the new masks that can keep the bacteria out, okay? He's treading on a lion and a cobra. He's treading on the problem. He's treading on the disease. When we're out finding the antidote, we are working to tread on the lion, tread on the cobra. When we're trusting in Hashem, we are treading on the lion, we're treading on the cobra. All of us are working together to make a difference. But what are we really doing? We are treading on the lion, the cobra, the very thing that is trying to destroy us. The young lion and the serpent you will trample down. Now, what does that mean? Now, we know even Hashem is looked at like a lion that roars, right? Well, in this case, it makes people afraid. And this is what a pestilence does. This is what terror does. This is what a plague does. And what Hashem is saying is that because you've put your trust in him, and because in turn he has sent angels to help you, the melachim, and in turn he says it will not come near you. He says in turn what you're going to do is you're going to silence that fear. You're going to step on that problem. You are going to destroy it so it doesn't have an effect on you. And then he ends this amazing Tehillim. He ends it by saying this. I love this. He says, because you have loved me. In other words, you've set your heart, you've set your mind on Hashem. He says, because you have loved me, he says, I will deliver you. He says, I will set you securely in a high place. I'm going to raise you above this. Because you have known my name, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Adonai. He says, you will call upon me, and I will answer you. When you are in trouble, I will be with you. I will rescue you. I will honor you. And with long life, I will satisfy you. And you will see my salvation. My Yeshua. That's what we read in the Siddur. This is what we read in the Torah. Show us your salvation. And Hashem says that you will see it when you put your trust in him, your emunah in him. You will see it. So, this is what I did. And this is the Tehillim I turned to. I turned to Hashem and I turned to this Tehillim when I was facing the SARS. And not one person in our community, not one, was affected by SARS, but they had family members or outreaching people, friends that were completely affected. In fact, let me tell you something. I walked right into the hospital. I visited people who had SARS. The hospitals were packed. People were in the hallways, they were in the rooms. I think in one day they had over 800 people admitted. And I went right in. But I went in knowing. And now some people may think, the people that are very logical, they think that was really stupid. No, I knew. Hashem said it would not come nigh me. Now, again, it's based on your turning to Hashem, your faith in Hashem. It's based on that. Now, I also wrote a song. If I could even remember the song, I wrote it, I put music to it. Let me just try to sing a little bit of it to you. He that dwelleth in the secret place shall abide under the Almighty. He that dwelleth in the secret place shall abide under the Almighty. He will, I don't know if I can remember it. I gotta practice. He will, no terror will come, no arrow will fly, no pestilence will come by day. You will not be afraid, no evil will come near your dwelling place. He that dwelleth in the secret place shall abide under the Almighty. He that dwelleth in the secret place shall abide under the Almighty. No pestilence will come, no arrow will fly, no terror will come near by night. No evil will come, no plague will come near your dwelling place. Something like this. I'm just making it. I had it much more. It's been like 20 years since SARS, all right? 20 years. Wow. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I want to encourage you. I really want to dispel your fear. And I want you to know that there's something more. In addition to all the precautions we're taking, in addition to all that scientists, people that are in the medical field, people that are in the logistics field, Compassion International, all of the Israeli organizations that are on the front line here in Israel, working day and night to find the antibody that is going to stop this virus, to come up with alternative solutions in the meantime. All of these are important. But with all of this, what's really important is we turn to the one that knows exactly how to protect us and how to walk us through difficult times like this. And that is Hashem. All right, I love you guys. You're amazing. And you're going to come through this. And so, Hatzlacha, all the best. And I want to give a big shout out to Chai Sarah for even having me do this video. And may you have just a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. I'm making this just before Shabbat. So Shabbat Shalom. And I'm really excited. Go back this Shabbat, take a look. Read Tehillim 91. Quote it. All right? Say it out loud. Get it in your kishkas. Get it in your nefesh. Get it in your brain. All right? So when you're faced with words that are scary or situations that are scary, it's right there. All right. Everyone, Shabbat Shalom. Bye-bye.